And we're live. We're live.
We're coming in hot with
We're going
another
hot.
episode of
Like,
Livebrush.
we're back. That was the best joke I've ever heard, dude. Best joke I've ever heard. Incredible work.
Oh
Save that
god,
one. Well, oh man, we might have gone live right after you delivered it, but whew,
I know.
super good.
Well, thanks, dude. Thanks. You know, I gotta do what I gotta do. It pays the bills.
The
I
stand-up scene
wish.
in Buffalo's got to be amazing. Killing it.
Yeah.
Well, here we
How
are.
you doing, dude?
I'm
Here we
good.
are,
How
man.
are you?
I'm doing great.
We're back. We're back,
Hey,
everybody.
yeah, we're back, everyone. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. What are you working on today?
I'm back in this piece. I think I'm going to do just a little bit more on it today and call it quits. There might be there's some boring detailing stuff that I probably won't do. But yeah, I think I'm ready to call it quits on this.
Sweet.
But yeah, there's some color adjustments I realized I want to do on this. So I'm going to play with those, and then I want to fix up his sword and blah, blah, blah. What are you working on?
Dude, I am, for the first time, I think, in Livebrush history, Laura Dornable can maybe fact check this.
Mm-hmm.
I am working digitally.
Gasp.
Isn't that crazy?
That is. How does it feel? How do you feel
time?
about it? How do you feel about it?
Well, the thing is, I work digitally all the time.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And I realize in Livebrush, I'm like the traditional person.
Well, what are you going to do
But
digitally, though?
it didn't end up starting like that, though. So what I'm going to do is I'm working on this piece. This is actually the painting from the study that I'd done on stream a couple of episodes ago. I'm still planning on painting that other painting for sure, no problem. It is, but I decided I was working on the final for this piece, and I realized I don't know, I was just getting to a point where I was like, I think if I could just finish off, I was looking at the reference that I was working from, and I was like, if I could really just finish off my comp, I could just then use that as reference and call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it needs a lot of fidelity to do it, but I don't mind doing that, and I want to kind of keep a lot of this stuff around my area here. You know, I want to keep some of that freshness in there. So I decided to I'm going to finish off this comp and see if I can. I'll go in and paint it directly and try and paint it with a little bit more, alla prima. So because I think things were becoming a little rendered for me. I don't know. I felt like I was going to render it to death. So I decided to do this comp. So I'm going to work on this comp basically. And I'm going to try and finish it off digitally on top of this traditional painting. And then use that as reference for my finished painting.
Oh, awesome. So
Does that
you're
make sense?
you're showcasing using the whole workflow here today.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So this is something like Tyler knows this, but this is something I do from time to time on my pieces. It's nothing new. Artists like David Dibb will do it, but it comes from artists landscape painters working from their sketches and blowing them up, and making larger versions of it. So that's basically what I'm doing here. But I'm just instead of doing some of the guessworking work on my final, I'm going to do a lot of that on this comp, and just use this as reference so that I can have some of this really nice brush strokes in here, and I could be a little bit more kind of bolder with it, but also I want to keep the tightness too. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, totally. You can. The cool thing with doing comps digitally is you can use the amazing powers of Photoshop to really shift stuff really quick if you need to.
Right. Digital. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, this is an 18 by 24, just instant right here. this is it. I think I finished off the piece.
That all?
Just add a little bit, all blue.
Oh, you did it. I was gonna.
I
I
did.
just looked up and I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, that's one hell of a color scheme.
Yeah, so you can cut up other pieces and like, yeah, it's really great. I mean, I'm a fan of like, I I was afraid just that I was going to get stuck on this piece, and I had a vision for this piece that was actually, I don't know. I was like, oh, should I go really tight with it? Should I go really loose with it? I just want it to look as good as possible. And I think now I'm of the attitude like I want to make the best piece possible,
Hmm.
because I just need to be happy with it. So that's why I'm doing it digitally, and I'll switch it up. It's my, it's basic textbook Ray. I get bored really quickly, and so I'll go back and do other things, and I'll be all about like I'll maybe do this for a couple of pieces, and then maybe I get sick of it after one piece and be like it was the worst idea ever, and then
This
go
is
back to
this is how I work
you know
too, though, man. I'm bouncing all over the place. It's like the way people saw me work through this piece. I'll probably won't work like that again for a long time. It's it's like complete. It's like every time I'm doing something different.
I'll never do this again.
I'm
I'm
never
never.
gonna start that way. That's nonsense. But yeah, no, I'm all over the place.
Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. We I mean, because it's man, it's a long hours, right? It's a lot of work, and you just want to make the best piece possible too. I think
Yeah,
that's I got to stop getting caught up in like, what's the best working method for me, like that thing, because it's like everything could be. It depends on the piece. It's not going to be the same for every single piece because every single piece has its own set of problems.
yeah,
So I
that's
got to
kind of
work
how
with
I
that.
see it. Right, you got to work a little bit differently because the piece is different. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
I know nothing against like I know artists that have like really tight methods, right? And they paint everything the same way every
Right.
time, and that's great. Hey, whatever works for everyone. But it's never been like a process that I do. I'm always kind of all over the place with each piece because, like we were just saying, like each one has their own challenges. So if I can approach each one differently, I feel like I can tackle the challenge a little better. But
Yeah, that's a nice way. That's a nice one too.
yeah, I mean that's me explaining it to myself because in reality, I'm not like I'm going to do this piece completely different this time, and that's going to help me solve the problem. It's more just like I just want to do it
I'm gonna
differently.
I'm gonna buy myself. It's gonna be a successful piece. I'm gonna buy myself a new beret.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, gotta get the
Oh
beret.
man. So Alec Hamilton. Actually, hey Alec, what's up, man? He took my mini course actually at Visual Arts Passage. So
Oh,
nice to
sweet.
have you. Did some really great work. Uh, I didn't even. He said blue screen of death. Why didn't I pick
Yeah.
that up? Why didn't I use that? Was
Oh
right
man,
there for.
you used your joke up earlier. You used your joke. It's like George Costanza, man. You got a mic drop. You gotta leave.
Yeah, just get out
Got
of
to end the stream. You did it.
there. Gosh. It's a good question from Lord Dornable. How do you prefer doing your initial thumbnails, pencil or digital?
Again, something I change up. I'll actually lately I do my thumbnails digitally, just because I'll do kind of like you guys saw me start with this one or with that Spaceman from a couple seasons back or season two or that wasn't the lost season, was it? But
Oh no, it was not. It was not, but I did see it. Yes, yes, I remember
yeah,
that one. Yep.
I like to start with like just three values a lot of times and see if I can solve it that way. Because I didn't really start that way with this one, I'm realizing I'm kind of missing a. This is kind of two values, so I think I need to find somewhere to pop a third. But either way, I try if I'm doing it in pencil, it's a lot different, and I tend to scan those and will do digital stuff over the top. So I tend to prefer digital these days, but I do like the organic stuff I can get from sketches, pencil sketches.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, you can get like, kind of whatever works, right? I mean, the cool thing about pencil sketches, you could just keep, uh, you could do super small ones and on the go, and you could do that at breakfast if you had wanted to,
Yeah, yeah,
and then take the best parts and print bring them into Photoshop, and but at the same time, you could do the same thing with digital too. You could start out some digital stuff, then print that out, and go on top of that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
There's
kind of
sky's
it's
the limit. Do it however you want.
dude. It really is, man. It really is. It really is. It just more and more. I think this show's kind of helped me realize, a lot of the problem of why I don't do something or why I'm hesitant is me.
Right, right. Like
Nobody else.
you're
Yeah,
scaring
nobody.
yourself away from it.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody but the blame but myself. It's like, oh no, it's not the medium. I'm always
Yeah,
blaming the rim.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it's classic. I mean, we always do that. It's like if your idea is not good to start with, or if you haven't done all your proper prep work, doesn't matter how you're painting it or what you're painting with. It's just not going to be. It's not going to be right.
Dude, isn't that like the freaking? That's just that. That is like it's so simple, and we've heard it as when we were studying and stuff. But it's like that's it right there. Like I remember Greg Manchas saying something like that. He was like, he was super hesitant. He has to force himself to do the thumbnails, and that it
Yeah,
takes him
yeah,
longer to figure something out. Like it just takes so much mental energy. It takes more mental energy to actually figure out what to do than it is to paint. And I remember as a student saying like, "That's the most craziest." Like, I mean, he must be he's nuts, right? And so,
yeah. It's super
uh,
good.
right, but like I didn't understand that at the time. Like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, um, but it's true. It's like all about. I mean, he's nuts. Like he's crazy for saying something like that because I think it sounds like a r- ravings of a madman. You know what I mean? Like as
Yeah,
a
yeah,
student, I thought that. Because I thought to myself like, or I thought like that sounds super cool. What does that even mean, Greg? It was more that. Um, and because it wasn't like we were just caught up on like the how to and really worried about kind of how to finish stuff. But
mm-hmm.
nowadays it's more like all and everything we think that all that stuff really happens at the end, the finishing aspect of it, and the reality is it's all in the beginning. And that's what
Yeah,
Greg was trying to say, and I was like, oh, I just wasn't ready to hear it, understand what he was saying, because it's kind of must have been, he was talking at a really high level, or to an audience that was a lot more experienced.
yeah. I mean, isn't it funny how it's always like that though? It's like someone's talking at a much higher level, and you're like, as a student, you just I don't know what the hell they're saying. This is going way over my
Yeah,
head. And then you get it. Like years later, you're like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Ah, I get it.
yeah, uh,
That
I
happens to me
know,
a lot.
dude, all the time for me,
But
all
that's
the
how
time.
when Greg's talking about that, I'm super similar. Like it's really hard for me to do the thumbnails, and I just want to get into the fun part, like Greg always calls it.
Hmm.
Like you just want to get into the fun. Like the fun's where the painting is where it's fun. And sometimes I skip that, and then I regret it pretty massively. Um, so
Then
do
it's
your
not fun
homework,
anymore.
kids.
Listen to Greg, kids. Listen to Uncle
Listen to
Greg.
Uncle Greg.
You get a lot of stuff out of like I even do that with my reference, for my gallery paintings, just cutting things up into simple shapes and then doing a thumbnail to kind of figure out how to break everything like that down.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, like you really get there's stuff that you won't you just I don't know. At least for me, I would never allow myself to come up with or take a risk on in a finish. There's no way, no way.
Right.
Like, and this is the reason why I want to do this comp, because it's just like, it's another example of it. It's like, oh, what if I wanted to do a crazy, like a big, leave some of those brush strokes here? I don't trust myself. I wouldn't trust myself to be like, Ray, it's okay. Why don't you just leave it painterly in a given area? It looks great. It's like, nope. Well, I'm not going to be that, And so I remember John Rush telling me that he's like, the last place, the place where you're least adventurous is in your actual final painting. Is when
Yeah. So it's like take the advantage, like not take the advantage, but take the risk in the sketch.
Right, because who the hell cares?
Yeah, that's where you can make mistakes. That's where you can screw it up.
Right. Like if you look at Donato's stuff,
yeah,
like all that shit is like, you see it in the thumbnail. He was looking at the time. I remember I visited his studio. Shout out to Donato, and he was working on this St. George and the Dragon piece. Do you know that one?
Yeah, that one's great.
Freaking thing, and it was like Dragon in the Swamp or something. I'm like, oh, that's killer.
I mean, that was the one I think was at Enchanted, because it was just like perfect.
Oh, no way, really?
Well, the knight's like it's in like a full knight uniform, like a full harness.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yep. That he had the original at the show.
Dude, I saw that in progress.
Yeah, it's killer, man. It was perfect.
Isn't that nuts?
It was like right in the opening. I'm glad you got to see him working on it, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, so and so like I saw like he was doing the underpainting, like his washes, and starting to build like an opaque pass, and I was like, holy shit, look at this thing. And I was like a tourist, and I was like, I just asked you not, take photos of this. It's not supposed to be released yet, like it's for a special thing, I think it was for Dragon Con or something. I don't know what it was originally for, but
yeah, it was for some event. I can't remember either, but yeah, it was for some event.
And so I was like, cool. But I said, I looked over his shoulder, because I said, how'd you get this crazy shape to go through this whole piece? And he pointed over my shoulder, and there it was in this little thumbnail, that in red, that sanguine pencil that he uses. It's right there. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, like,
and I see him do it all the time. Yeah, you got to figure it out. Yeah, it's like I've seen him talk about it online all the time, but it's like, I don't know why I'm so hard-headed about it, or think that it would be different if he was when he was by himself working in the studio. But there it was. It was there for all to see.
I love when he does that kind of stuff, though. When he has like a really cool shape that was just like completely abstract, but it was part of the thumbnail.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, isn't it? It's like he was doing a bunch of that stuff on the new set that came out, the Kamigawa set, or that recently came out, because I know they're off on to the newer.
Constantly, yeah, they're always moving to the next set. But yeah, he did a bunch of cool stuff for that.
Yeah, and he showed his, like, he's doing this. His study was like, his studies are different now, I think, right?
He's doing like, it looks like really transparent paint on,
like a vellum or something.
Yeah, it's almost, it's weird. I'm not sure what he's using. You know what? Why isn't he in the chat? Come on,
Donato, man.
Get in our chat so you can explain these things.
I know, right? It could be Donato's Dragon Corner.
Oh, man.
The man can do dragons, man.
He's very good at it. If anyone is looking for cool dragons, man, check out Donato's work. Just check out his work in general.
Just do it, okay? Tell Donato we sent you.
Oh, dude, I was going to tell you something. A friend of mine, we are watching like remakes. We're doing like remake double features.
Whoa.
So the other day we started with Total Recall and Total Recall. Colin Farrell's Total Recall.
Okay. What'd you do first?
We did Total Recall, the real Total Recall, the Paul Verhoeven Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
We did that first, and then we got we cleansed our mind of the good stuff, and then we watched the crappy stuff.
Because
I think I would do it differently if I was doing it again.
But think about it, right? It's like I don't know. I don't know what I would choose. Like if you told me quickly, that's what if you're like, hey Ray, we're gonna do this thing. Come over, we're watching a double feature of remakes. I'm like, cool. And it's like Total Recall. I was like, okay, so then I would assume like we're watching the original, and then we'll watch the remake.
Yeah.
But looking at it on paper, I'm like, maybe I would watch the remake first.
I would, in hindsight, I would watch the remake first, mainly because it is garbage. Like, it is a garbage factory. No offense to anyone in the chat who loves that Total Recall, but it is bad. It's really bad.
I can't wait. I can't wait for somebody in the chat to be like, wait a second. That was a remake?
Yeah, please pipe in.
Yeah.
But next, I think up next is, aside from Total Recall being just garbage, hot garbage, I think we're going to do RoboCops next.
You gotta. I was just going to say that. You have to do RoboCop.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. I think
that's what we're going to do. Because it's, man, I don't know. I don't hate the new RoboCop. It wasn't great. But regular Paul Verhoeven's RoboCop is just near perfect. It's like a near perfect movie.
Yeah, I think that's one of those like we're talking about Conan being near perfect, like a movie that shouldn't happen. I think RoboCop is the same exact way. Like Verhoeven screaming, he screams on set.
Yeah, well, I think they talked about that in the Movies That Made Us doc, about how he was like just like screaming at everybody, and like all his notes were always like bigger, louder, faster, like just crazy man stuff. But hey, it made a great movie.
It should have never happened, right?
Yeah. It's just I don't know how he got into movie making, but he made some of the most iconic movies.
So, okay, question for you then. What's next after that then? I'm just trying to think of the remakes.
There's a list. Punisher, we're going to do a few of the Punishers.
Wow.
So probably the Thomas Jane one, and then the original Dolph Lundgren one. Because we have to. It's not always... The cool thing about this is it's not always going to be like the original one was better. Because I think in that case, I think the Thomas Jane one is better than the Dolph Lundgren one.
Yeah. Dolph Lundgren's great, though.
He is. He's great. Don't get me wrong. He's super good. I just that movie's kind of weird. I mean, if you remember it, it's kind of strange.
Yeah, I watched it as a kid. I don't know how I just.
I loved it as a kid. I was like, this is the Punisher. I loved, even today, I loved it as a kid, but I love that he didn't have the skull on his shirt. I still love that.
He didn't.
I still love that idea. Like, he doesn't need that like comic-y weird skull. It's way too forced.
You know what? You're just not a Punisher fan. Okay. Thank God. Listen, I will protest if you ever work on a Punisher movie. Okay, I will protest. It would be outside.
But my notes are gonna be, hey, I want to work on this, but can we ditch the skull on his chest?
Can we ditch the skull?
The thing that makes him the Punisher. Can we ditch that?
All of your concepts don't have a skull on his chest. Can you? Yeah. It's like, we're not going to use these.
That's a bold-ass choice, though. It'd be like, hey, let's do Wolverine without his claws or something. I mean, that's not a good analogy, but it would,
Or Superman without the S.
Superman without the S, right. That's a good analogy. I don't know. What was there were a few other ones. Dang, I can't remember now. We had a growing list.
I got some recommendations.
Yeah. I want them.
So first and foremost, you gotta watch Captain America.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Like the 70s one?
It was like in the 90s.
Oh, it was in the 90s. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That one is actually a pretty good movie. Now, this is Ray. This is teenage Ray remembering
91.
memories.
91.
Teenage
In the
Ray,
chat.
91. Wow. Okay, thanks,
Monkey
Monkey House.
House.
Yeah. It yeah. And what would you stack it up against? I guess you would have to do the original, the first Avenger then.
Yeah, you'd have
I
to.
think I
Which
think it I think it goes up against it. I think it might be. And this is again Teenage Ray's memories are influencing this. You'd be surprised how close in quality it might have come.
I mean,
I probably shouldn't even say that on
hot take.
hot take. Man.
Hopefully nobody that
We're,
I know some
we're,
people who work at Marvel. Hopefully none of them are watching. I not a huge fan of Joe Johnston's Captain America movie. I liked the sequels, but
yes.
the first one was honestly to me, and I think this the first time I heard this was the Red Letter Media guys, but it was the first Captain America was the Rocketeer to me. It was very
Yeah, it
similar,
was.
and
Yeah.
that was Joe Johnston
Yeah.
as well. It was super similar, and the Rocketeer is frankly a better movie. So
I think so.
that's my hot
Yeah.
take. I would have gone. I would go back to the Rocketeer any day over the Captain America movie. But that being said, the sequels are killer
The
sequels.
speakers, yeah. I mean, the Russo brothers killed it on The Winter Soldier. You could tell, like um, the 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 whole sort of attitude of the movie was like different from the first frame. It was like, wow,
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a little silly, campy. Almost read more like an old Jack Kirby, like the before with Joe Simon, like early Captain America.
yeah, and
You know,
maybe they hadn't really found the sweet spot for Marvel movies yet. At least where Captain America is concerned, I think he does better in the
yeah,
Avengers movies where he's really serious.
right, yeah. And
Whereas like
he's even like
Thor going campy and silly was the right way to go with
you
Taika's
know right
version.
because Kenneth Branagh made it sound like it was like made it try to do like a Macbeth meets Marvel, and it was just like,
Yeah, yeah, it didn't work. Didn't work.
dude, come on,
Taika's
man.
like the greatest thing that's happened to Marvel movies in a long time.
I had this crazy hot take in my head.
And
He
then
might
I
be
interrupted you. Okay.
he might be one of the like when we look back on this, like he might be one of the like, yep, he was the director of our time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't think of something of his that I didn't absolutely love. Like What We Do in the Shadows, the film. Absolutely love it. I like the show too. The show's great. The Wilder People is amazing. He just makes great movies. I can't wait for the next one.
He's a good actor too.
Yeah, yeah. He's hilarious.
Did you see him in? I saw Suicide Squad. Oh man, that's technically a sequel.
I mean, it's more of a remake, like a quick reboot.
Yeah, that could be something. That's a lame choice, but you could do it.
Yeah, I think right now we've been focusing on more like old school stuff.
Yeah. I know.
Um,
I'm going off the rails with it.
but
So,
I was thinking of diving like even deeper, like True Grit. Like watch John Wayne's
wow,
True Grit, which is almost unwatchable. By the way,
really?
it's so bad. And then watch the Coen Brothers True Grit, which might be one of the greater westerns of all time. Um, to
Hot. That's hot take.
uh, or even better, like go back and like the 1950 something Last of the Mohicans, and then watch Michael Mann's Last of the Mohicans, which I think is like, God, it might be one of my favorite movies of all time,
Wait a
or on the
second.
list of my
So,
favorite movies.
The Last Mohicans was a remake. There you go.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, not really. I mean, it's sort of like saying True Grit was a remake when neither of them were really. They were just, hey, let's make this source material again. It's It's sort of like when it's not I wouldn't even call those like super intentional remakes. They're just, they're based on books, super old books, right? So like the Mutiny on the Bounty with Marlon Brando, and then Mutiny on the Bounty with Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins. Like I wouldn't even say those are remakes. They're just based on the old story. The same with Last
the Wizard of
Mohicans.
Oz. Yeah. Okay. So Okay. Okay. So Okay. Well, now you got me thinking.
Just because, at least in the case of those particular ones, those two that we were just talking about, like there's no connection between True Grit and Last Mohicans to those original movies. There's almost no connection.
Right. Or like even Ocean's 11.
Right. Yeah.
Which
I would call that a remake because it's not based on like a book or anything.
Right. Because I haven't seen the Sinatra version.
I haven't either. But that might be it. That might have to go on the list.
All right. I'm trying to think of other remakes. Maybe the chat will.
So
which is hilarious.
The Thing would be fun, I think.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because the original Thing, I think, came out in 53 or 58 or something.
Yeah.
And it's very different.
Oh my God. Yeah. That is But
yeah, chat, if you come up with some cool remakes, let us know. There's a lot of superhero ones, like, you could watch the Fantastic Fours.
No, here you go. You're right. Watch the Richard Corbin one.
Yeah.
Okay. Go watch all three of them.
Oh yeah, 310 to Yuma would be good. 310 to Yuma in the chat.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. That's a great one. You could do things like the Magnificent Seven, but because that's another one.
All right, they did that one recently too. That would be actually that brings up a kind of a cool thing. Is you could do it. You could do a couple imports. So Magnificent Seven and Seven Samurai, or Let the Right One In and Let Me In, right? Or Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. You could like do imports.
Okay. But what I'm trying to think of, like, it is the time of the remake too.
Oh, it's been the time of the remake for almost 2 decades.
Yeah, that's true. It's more of the time of the sequel, right?
Yeah, it's like the sequel remake. I saw some statistic that like 80 something percent, like 84% of films are either in this day and age, in the last 10 years, are either remakes or sequels.
Wow, 84.
Yeah, it's super high percentage.
Wow.
I assume it's categorical, like blockbuster movies or something.
Right.
Because you can't. Of all the movies made, obviously most movies being made are original, but I assume of all the.
Here we go. What about Transformers the animated series, the movie, the animated movie, and Jerry Bruckheimer and
Michael
Bayes.
Oh my God, the Witwicky Chronicles. I would do that.
Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
That's what I'm calling it.
I am the. Oh my God. That movie. Oh.
I thought it was good. I didn't hate it.
Oh, yeah, but yes, it's a popcorn movie. You just have to submit, right?
Yeah, it's a popcorn film. We're not going to get Shakespeare at a Transformers film, unfortunately.
Well, we did. You just look at Transformers the animated movie.
That's true. Weird Al Yankovic, baby.
Yeah, Dare to Be Stupid. Oh my God, that was such a great movie.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Don't crap on Yeah, no, it's not the source material. Okay, it's not the source material. It's the people writing this stupid story. Okay. Give me a break. Like if we look at the first Pirates of the Caribbean.
I liked a
Based
lot
off,
of those, to be honest.
so did I. And then the second and third, they filmed at the same time, and it showed.
God, but I love the second one so much.
I
It
like
was
the
kind
second
of
one
like
too.
I like the Matrix movies. I like all of them except I didn't watch the latest one, but I like the trilogy. But it kind of
You
had
didn't watch
that.
the latest Matrix?
No, I'm not gonna. I'm not. I'm over it. But it
It's all
had
right.
that same sort of feeling. Like the second one, second and
Yeah.
third were filmed together, but the second one seemed a lot stronger than the third one, and I got that same feeling
Yes.
out of Pirates.
Yes. It was. Wait. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the second, like Matrix to Pirates. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it was all. It was at the same time as Lord of the Rings. And so they were like, well, it worked for Lord of the Rings. Let's just do it for Pirates of the
yeah,
Caribbean. I mean, the
yeah.
same. I'm sure the people, thought that like
Got to make all three together, not just two.
that's the key, and it's just a blockbuster. It's a blockbuster. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and who does it? Almost nobody takes that risk. I don't. Nobody has done it since Peter
Right.
Jackson. Like, they wouldn't even do it with Dune. They did. They haven't even begun shooting on the
No,
second ones.
no,
It's like
which
you're
is
gonna try
crazy
and
when
tell
you
this
think
with one
about it.
movie.
Yeah. Or the fact that it was contingent on like, well, we'll do a second movie if the first movie does well. And you're
Yeah,
like, what? That's pretty nuts, But hey, whatever. I think there's certain properties where people are super hesitant because of just the money pits they've actually tried. Some properties are kind of cursed in that sense. Like that's why there'll never be a good John Carter movie,
yeah. They're
especially
gonna have
after
to
the
wait.
wait another 300 years.
Yeah, they're gonna have to wait till what would it be? 2112.
Dude, that was a movie that just that should have been way better.
Yeah, it's a shame. And I didn't even think
Uh,
that the movie itself was bad. It was like marketed bad or something.
It's horribly marketed.
The
It's
marketing was
horribly
so
marketed.
dumb.
And they didn't call it. They just called it John Carter. They didn't call it Princess of Mars or John Carter. John Carter of Mars, and
And that was because of
because
some. I think you told me this, right? It was because they'd
yeah,
done some
it was a crappy animated film,
demographic. Yeah.
and it was like Mars Needs Moms or something like that, and it
Mm-hmm.
bombed. And I don't know if in like with the study they did, they were like, yeah, I like Mars. It just turns me off the title. And it's something dumb,
Right.
right? Because I mean, look, Guardians of the Galaxy or Dune,
I know. Come
you
on.
know,
These are crazy names, and
great.
they work. They work.
The Big Lebowski, is that
Yeah.
just speak
Not
to
exactly a
like, oh my
blockbuster,
god, I can't wait.
and a huge
It's
flop,
gonna
no
be-
less.
yeah, oh god, no Battleship, yeah, that gets
Hmm.
people in the theaters.
That's a game. People know that. It was a
People would know
game.
that. Don't worry, we'll get Liam Neeson.
Was he
He'll
in that?
attract everyone. Dude, he was, man.
Oh man, I gotta say, I didn't see it. I
Hardest,
should watch that.
hardest working man in Hollywood, next to Nicolas Cage, man.
That new. You see the trailer
Awesome.
for that new Nicolas Cage movie?
Yeah, I've seen it like bits and pieces on my
It
Instagram
looks so
feed.
good.
It looks crazy. It's like it is. It's him just unhinged, which is great, because he needs like a Birdman like
Yeah,
you know
yeah. He needs a Birdman moment. He's an
moment.
Oscar winner, for Christ's sake.
He's owed
You
it.
imagine like
He's
Jack?
owed
You
it.
imagine Jack Nicholson making movies like the movies that Nicolas Cage makes these days, or Denzel Washington? She's like, yeah, Denzel
Oh my
Washington makes like
god.
straight to video, just ridiculous films now.
He's like, but we say that. I mean, look at Robert De Niro. Like Anthony Hopkins showed up in a couple of crazy movies. Like or
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess
um,
it happens, right? Even like Um, Even Liam Neeson's kind of done some like weird straight to video stuff. I mean, he's not an Oscar winner or anything, but
Battleship? Anyone?
Battleship. Yeah, I actually with Liam Neeson's career, I love the, I love like he made Taken, and Taken is awesome. It's super awesome. And then
Total fluke though, right? Because
right,
like
complete fluke. Like who would have thought this was going to be good? And then he makes a ton of movies that are like Taken after that. It's like
right,
you caught lightning in a bottle. You can't do it again.
he was like all of a sudden like instead of was it the Marshall or something?
God, there's a
Just
bunch. I forget.
taking on a plane,
Not to mention all the the one on the plane. That's right. Not to mention
right?
all the
Yeah.
remakes of, or not remakes, but sequels to Taken.
This is where I'm like, we talk about bad movies and things like that. Like, wow, like Robert De Niro was in this movie, this science fiction movie called Moon something. I forgot what it was. I remember seeing it and I was just like, what? And he doesn't even play the Robert De Niro character. And now that I think about it, it's like, let these people, they're just probably having fun.
Yeah, I mean it's like Bruce
You know,
Campbell. He like likes making B movies. Maybe it's just more fun. I mean that's the way he described
I
it.
mean,
He thinks it's more fun making those B
I,
movies.
I would imagine Nicolas Cage probably, I mean, he had like tax issues, right?
Oh yeah, I have no
Or
idea.
something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I heard something like that. According to people familiar with the matter.
Yeah, yeah. According to tabloids.
People familiar
Him and
with
Wesley
Nicolas
Snipes.
Cage's. Yeah, according to people familiar with Nicolas Cage's thinking. I've seen that before. It's like, what? That doesn't make any sense at all. I've seen
The guy from Con Air? Yeah, yeah. That guy.
Con Air. Oh my god. Ghost Rider. Like, man, it was awesome.
One of these days, they're going to make a good Ghost Rider movie. One of these days.
They had it. They just had it, and then they just squandered it. I found.
Wait,
I
where
found,
do you think they had it? Where do you think they had it?
They just they could have. I'm not saying Nicolas Cage was the right like Johnny Cage, right? I mean Johnny Blaze. Johnny Cage is a whole nother Mortal Kombat.
Hell yeah.
But they could have had it. It's like I don't know. Have you seen Moon Knight yet?
No, no. I hear it's pretty good
Oh,
though.
dude. So one of those things where it's like, boy, that could have gone Ghost Rider Nicolas Cage easily
Yeah.
because there's this dark side of it, but it's also kind of it's hard to write for. Moon Knight's nutty, and they took all of these like storylines, and just so far I don't know, it could end horribly. Who knows? But it was like, wow, they actually understood the flavor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like super impressed by. Yeah,
Disney,
I mean,
man, their quality control has gotten really through the roof. I mean, say what you want about Eternals, but their like their level of getting it right is really high.
yeah. I think that's the Marvel Studios, like because they're like kind of an autonomous function, right? I mean,
I think so.
there's still like Kevin Feige and Ryan Meinerding, and like a lot of the people that were established. The same team is still there. Kevin Feige,
Yeah,
did I say Kevin Feige? Yeah.
yeah. He's
Or
definitely seems to be the spearhead for all of this.
dude, I remember when he was producing like the animated movie stuff, and like I remember him in New York Comic Con talking about the animated movies of the Avengers. Like this is before like the Marvel movies ever came out. And he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Yeah, this is great. We're really trying to get into film and animation and stuff." And I was like, "Kevin Feige, huh? Oh, interesting." And there he is. Now he's like this. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with
I
you on
remember.
that.
Yeah. So. Lord Darnable said Nick Cage did buy a Mongolian dinosaur skull once for $150 million that turned out to be stolen. Rock and roll.
It's Nick fucking Cage.
Hey man, it's like one of those. He's one of those actors. I'm not gonna say it's just like he's like. he's awesome.
Yeah, it's a weird.
Nobody will ever remember the shitty movies he did. No one.
And
No one.
probably not. And they'll probably only remember the amazing ones. Like I'm never gonna
Yeah.
forget Raising Arizona. It's so good. I will never ever forget it.
Matchstick Men.
Yeah.
Fucking
Face
Face Off.
Jinx. Yeah, man.
Just yeah. It just. I was just thinking about that. Like, no one's gonna remember. So I was thinking Robert De Niro. He can go do whatever movies he wants. Sure. Like,
I
just
probably would.
show up in whatever.
I probably would.
I would do too, because no one's gonna remember those movies. Same thing with Bruce Willis, you know, who unfortunately had to retire from
Yeah, he's got aphasia.
acting.
Tragedy,
Yeah,
man. He's
yeah.
one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I take back any ill word we said about him or any jokes we made about the shitty movies he'd been making. The dude's
listen,
awesome.
I'm not gonna take that back. They were shit movies. Okay,
Yeah.
well, they looked horrible. I didn't watch them, but they looked horrible and lazy. But he's a great. It doesn't discount the fact that he's like an incredible actor. It had nothing to do with. Yeah, I mean,
He's such a cool idea too. That the idea, I remember reading some of the headlines when Die Hard came out, and they were like, "This is a joke. You're casting this guy from like this comedian from a comedy show as a badass action hero."
yeah. Where was he? Where was he originally? He was in.
What was it called? Moonlighters or something like that.
Yeah. Which I had never seen. You know, like he was just to me. He was Bruce Willis. You know.
Well, and I remember my mom even saying that too. She's like, "He was so great in this action movie, but you know, he's just a comedian in a comedy show."
Wow. Like I remember George Clooney when he was on ER.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was like
Big-
this was in like late or early '80s or something. He was on that show.
Right.
It was just perfect. It was a perfect way to do it. Like, get a comedian, or not a comedian, but just an actor who's not, you know, Charlie Bronson or something.
Right.
And have him be the lead in this. He's not like super ripped out. He's not like crazy strong. He's just got grit, and that's what you need. That's a cool action star. Someone with grit. True grit. You know?
Yeah.
Peacemaker. I remember that. Yeah, Monkey House. That the Peacemaker movie with George Clooney was awesome.
That was his. Was that his first one after ER?
I don't know. Batman?
No. Wasn't Batman. I still maintain that Batman Forever was. There was nothing wrong with Batman Forever. It was campy.
That was Kilmer, though. That was the Kilmer Batman.
I know, but what I'm saying is Batman and Robin, though, because they lump Forever and Batman and Robin in the same boat.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of disagree on that. We would tank, you know, our audience, but we should be like, we should just do a Batman Forever, Batman and Robin paint off, you know, like.
Maybe Batman Forever wasn't as bad as maybe because like the studio was probably like, no, it still needs to lean towards Tim Burton's Batmans. And then when it was, you know, I think it was a success. Then they were like, all right, Joel Schumacher, you can do whatever you want. And then he went like crazy, like he went all nuts.
Yeah. Would it be as good as Verhoeven?
Can you imagine Paul Verhoeven Batman?
That would be incredible. That'd be incredible. In kind of, you know what? In a way, he did make Batman. It's called RoboCop.
That's true.
Right? It's like Detroit, you know, like his version of Gotham City would look like Detroit back in those days, you know. Like in the Jacob, so George Clooney, Peacemaker, Jacob Sue says Fifth Element. Yeah, that's one of the great.
Oh man, yeah, don't even get me started on Luc Besson. He's like one of my favorite filmmakers, and I don't know what happened. And I would love to know like some backstory on his career, like why he stopped making the greatest movies of my childhood. Leon the Professional is one of my top, easily in my top 10.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff right there. You know.
La Femme Nikita is
Um,
great if you like the French movies, and then yeah, The Fifth Element is just this awesome sci-fi film.
oh yeah, man, heavy metal. Based off of it was based off of yeah, a thing in heavy metal.
Oh, Fifth
The whole
Element,
yeah, Fifth Element, yeah.
like the how it's the Metabaron stuff, or
And it was like Mobius had done a bunch. It was I think it was like the Inkall was an influence on it.
oh, okay, the design work in that is so cool.
And there was this other movie with it. It was like if you look at Heavy Metal the animated series, it was about this taxi driver in the future like that, and it was
Oh, okay.
totally inspired. It was like, oh, that's the Fifth Element. That's like the basis for it.
Yeah, 100%. Wow.
Corbin Dallas, what a great name.
Yeah.
God, Chris Tucker in that movie. Everyone was so good. It was a crazy movie. I forgot how good that movie is. Can you imagine if they remade that?
Oh, I hope they
God,
never do.
oh
I
my!
hope they never do.
You would have to add it onto your list, man. You would have to do it. You would have
I
to
would, I
do it.
would, but God, I hope they never do. It's one of those like I feel like very few directors like knew how to use Gary Oldman, and Luc Besson knew how to use Gary Oldman.
Yeah. Oh my God, I forgot that Gary Oldman was in that movie.
And he's in The Professional as well as Stansfield, and
He is. Oh,
yeah, he's the
dude,
lead corrupt detective. It's just nobody knew how to use him really right. I mean, I guess Francis Ford Coppola knew how to use him really well, but in Dracula, but you haven't seen that, so we shouldn't talk about it.
he was in Harry Potter too. It wasn't bad.
Actually, that'd be a good one though. Dracula, like the original Dracula,
There you go.
and Bram Stoker's, Francis Ford Coppola's.
Which I haven't seen yet. I still haven't found the DVD though. I'm only
God
gonna
damn
watch
it!
it.
Don't watch that old DVD. It's on like Netflix or something.
You just
Come
you're
on.
not a romantic, you know.
The
That's your
film,
problem.
the quality, it's gonna be so bad.
Okay, I said Mike Mignola's concept art for Dracula is pretty sweet. I didn't know he even worked on that film.
Oh, no kidding. I don't even think I saw that. That's cool. I gotta look that up.
The only film I thought he worked on, I knew that he worked on was Atlantis, the animated movie. But
Yeah, yeah. He might have been working on a bunch of movies back then.
yeah, those guys get I mean, back in the day, that was more like wow, like that was more shocking back then than it is now. Uh, for people to work like in comics and then do concept art. I mean, it wasn't. I don't know about you, but I don't remember it ever being told presented to us as a viable option.
Yeah, and the only one I
You
remember
know,
even seeing, because I had no idea Mignola had worked on that until way late. The only stuff I'd remembered seeing was some of Alex Ross's Spider-Man stuff that they never even used.
right, right. And there are people like Jeff Darrow who did a bunch of the Matrix stuff, but that's like kind of like fringe stuff. Like, okay, yeah, Jeff Darrow is like, okay, I get that, you know. But to have somebody like Alex Ross, who's mainstream, like he did a bunch of stuff for Unbreakable as well. He worked on that a little bit on that, I think, and so to some capacity.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but yeah. I mean, now it's like super common. You know, look at I
It's
mean,
way, totally happens a lot now.
yeah. Classic examples. Paulo Rivera. You know,
Oh,
he's
so good.
he's at Marvel now. In the concept art.
That's awesome because he's always been really great, and he has this like classic look, so he'd be able to
Yeah,
infuse that into all the stuff they've been doing lately.
that dude, man, he can paint. Talking about Captain America, his Captain America is the one that really influenced. the story behind it, like the way they told the story.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, have you ever read Mythos?
No, no.
It was like a remakes of retelling of the stories, like the origin stories of a bunch of Marvel characters, and I think it was like the Hulk, Fantastic Four, and Captain America, from what I remember.
Hmm.
There could have been other ones, but yeah, it was really not really awesome, really awesome stuff. But he painted. That's when he was painting like oil paints and the X Men. There was one with the X Men as well.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Shoot. Dang.
and
He's been doing everything.
dude, yeah. So he was then he'd done the Captain America one in acrylic wash. That was his painted style. Like the way he does his covers, he had done interiors for a while. His painted stuff, and then he was like, it was just time intensive. I mean, that
Yeah, it
stuff
seems
must
like it
take.
would take forever.
Yeah, and then he did Dare. I think he had. I mean, I could be getting all of this wrong, but he had started doing single issue stuff uh, here and there. He did some Wolverine. He did um, some Punisher, I think, and then eventually they gave him Daredevil and he was the penciler on Daredevil, and that's when like I feel like his classical style really kind of started to come through. You know, that kind of like really clean classic comic style, so beautiful. You know.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good.
You should go see those painted covers that he did for Daredevil. They're incredible. Apollo still pops up every so often. He's around for sure. I've seen him on Instagram, and he's got this the great blog that he still runs. Man, I can't believe he does it.
Oh wow.
The
Yeah, I used to follow that like crazy.
yeah, self-absorbing man. He still has wacky reference Wednesdays, which is pretty cool.
That's great. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out more. It's been a long time.
Yeah, but I don't go on a lot of blogs.
Yeah,
I
me
used to
either.
be like
Yeah, I used to. It
crazy
used to be
about
the
blogs.
thing. Blogs.
I,
Oh
I
yeah,
hit
I
hit
just
him
saw
up.
Justin's. Sorry, Jacob Sweet's. Yeah, no, Willem Dafoe in the new. Yeah, he was in the Nosferatu that they did. Like, what was it, Shadow the Vampire or something? Like the dramatized documentary about the making of Nosferatu. It would be really cool to see him come back as Nosferatu.
He's another one, man.
I love Willem Dafoe. Have you seen Lighthouse?
No, with what's his face? Oh
Pattinson.
my God,
Pattinson.
Pattinson. Yeah.
It's great. It's the same guy who did The Witch and the guy who his movie's coming out soon. The Northman.
Oh yeah, I saw.
Crazy
Yeah,
cool
okay.
filmmaker. Really cool filmmaker.
Is Defoe in the Norseman as well?
Yeah, he's some
Okay,
crazy the Fool or something. I think is his name.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can't wait for that.
that's like I gotta watch all these movies, man. There's one that I wanna watch the Duel.
Oh yeah,
What's
but,
it called? The Last Duel.
uh,
It's
Ridley Scott. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
and then uh, the Green Knight,
Yeah, I also haven't seen that. I really want to see that.
and then the goodness, what's her name from Crouch the Tiger and Hidden Dragon? Oh my goodness, Michelle.
Yes. Own is it Own? No.
Yeah,
Yoon.
or
Yoon.
something like that.
That's the
Yoon.
movie that Kate and I
Uh,
really want to see. Absolutely
dude, that
everything, everywhere, or something like that.
yeah, that's like that's a wheelhouse. That's like that hits a lot of things in my wheelhouse. It's like artsy, multiverse, timey wimey type of stuff, but like the kind of action sensibilities too. I don't know.
Yeah, me
This is
too.
like I can't put it. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, like the Fifth Element was very much like that. It was like really odd.
Yeah,
It's an odd film.
like clearly made
There's
by
no
not an American, essentially, which I love.
right, and it wasn't like a comic book action right movie. You know, it was yeah, it was embracing kind of a European style. Like all the designs
Mm-hmm.
Like those Mobius designs was like everything was round, had a rounded corner to it, and
That's the shit I like,
almost
man. I like when it's outside the box. You know, like uh,
yeah.
District 9, like the stuff that
Oh
the
man,
stuff Weta did in that is like so different than what we'd seen.
yeah.
It's just amazing. That's the kind of stuff I like to see.
Well, I wonder, is it that so it definitely is a style. Like people set a trend, and then that almost becomes a style to emulate for a long time.
Yeah,
You know, like if you
someone
think
breaks
about,
the boundary, and then it's like we got to do it this way. Like Lord of the Rings is a good example of
if I was
that.
just gonna say that, yep, I was like Lord of the Rings. You know, I
They
felt kind of did that.
they set the bar for like modern fantasy, and then it became the look. Like everything after that is just how do we make it look as authentic as the Lord of the Rings did.
And like the Matrix had a lot of a lot to do with a lot of that stuff too. Like affected, I think affected a bunch of action movies the way that's shot.
Yeah, 100%.
Um,
Oh boy, I think my
is it?
Photoshop might be crashing.
Oh, I should save this. Oh my god.
It's all right. Live on air, everybody. A Photoshop
I know.
crash.
Yes, the
We'll
lighthouse.
give it a sec.
Okay,
We'll give it a sec. Uh oh.
getting everything everywhere all at once. It's amazing. My chaos says. All right. That's all I need. That's all I need to know. Comp. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just waiting for my Photoshop to crash.
It's not gonna crash.
I can't move anything, or it'll make marks, but I can't move anything. Um, I might
Maybe.
restart
Maybe.
it, but
Okay.
I'll have to do the BRB if I restart it.
Okay. No problem.
Lighthouse
Could be user
Keepers went
error.
crazy from mercury. Oh yeah, I'd heard about this. The amount of mercury that was in those lenses.
No way. That's oh my god. I didn't even think about that.
That's yeah, that's like Mad Hatter stuff. You know, the mercury they used to make the felt or whatever they were making. Which makes sense in in the movie. The movie's so cool and weird and like bizarre and avant-garde.
Wow.
Oh yeah, check it out. Oh, there we go. We didn't crash. We didn't crash.
You didn't crash?
No. Oh wait, we just did again. I might have to restart.
Okay. We got time. We ain't going anywhere,
Oh, it
everyone.
might be my little. Maybe the button on my. Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I use this
Your
little like
Cintiq or
I use this little gamepad to do my It looks like that is what has crashed. So it's all good. But yeah,
the
so
gamepad.
the what was I saying? The lighthouse.
Yeah. The
It's
mercury poisoning.
well, I was gonna say the movie is like definitely. I don't want to give it away because you haven't seen it, but there's definitely like a these guys have gone crazy quality to the film, and it's very cool. So whenever you get a chance, check it out. It's very
Okay.
strange,
Okay. Okay.
but very cool.
All right. I'll think about it.
You'll love it.
Once I watch Dracula. Once I watch Dracula, then I'll watch it.
Jesus. Okay, so you'll check the lighthouse out. 100 years. Hey, first time. First time. Unending rain. Yeah. Oh, it sounds like you live in Seattle. Welcome. Welcome.
Or England. You
That's true.
never
Could be
know.
English. Could be English.
Could be from across the pond. Welcome. If you are, good morning.
Yeah. Top of the morning. Oh, no, that's Ireland.
Dude, you just first time and last time.
Yeah, first time, last time viewer. Well, thank you for joining.
Incredible.
I'm happy to offend. Bad
That offense
impressions.
that offense was for free. That's on that's on the house.
Yeah, that's number one. The first one.
Anything else you right. Subscribe for consider subscribing for more.
You want more?
Yeah. That's too funny. Yeah, so Jeez, I'm trying to sift through this thing here. Oh my god. I'm glad that I'm actually doing this painting because I'm sorting out a lot of issues. Like in the finished painting, I had a much tighter underpainting. I think I showed you it. I was working on it in acrylics at first pass. Did I show you? Did I show you that this final? I think I showed you it. I could be wrong.
On this one?
Yeah, yeah. It was like the finish. Like I was working on the grayscale underpainting.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, yeah. So there are all these things that I'm like, I don't want to sit there and render things up, if I don't have to. It's not that I'm not in the mood for this painting to do that. So, um, I just want to strike a nice balance between rendered and loose, like more suggested stuff. And it's always tricky.
This
With
is something I want to do too, though, man. So I totally hear you.
well, it's almost like when you don't have, yeah. I don't know. It's hard. I don't have as many story beats, and maybe I should, in an abstract type of way, uh, build more of that into my pieces. Like I have like a focal point for sure, and everything's about that. But yeah, being a little bit more like like we were saying, like balancing that part. That's always tough. It's always tough, and it's tough for like illustration stuff because everyone wants it to be super clear. So it's like, maybe not a brushstroke. For
Yeah.
like finished piece. I'm not saying like concept art's obviously way different.
No, yeah. For illustration, that's typically the thing. Like they want it to be pretty tight.
Yeah, like resolved and so it's hard to kind of integrate that type of stuff. But even in gallery painting, it's like, well, you can't just be, you could be loose, but it could also end up looking unfinished, and that's
Yeah.
not fun.
That's
Because
the
that was like,
danger I've always seen with working loosely is that finished? It's like, I need to make those areas more intentional.
yeah, that's the thing, and then it becomes in like your it's more akin to abstract painting. So it's like where your brush, since it's making more of the shape, then that mark counts even more than ever. It's more important because of that, because it's doing a lot of bearing a lot of the responsibility in communicating the subject.
Right.
So I'm like, damn it, this is like garbage. And so that's why it takes a long time to do, because you're just like, nope, that doesn't look good. Nope, that doesn't look good. You're painting things 4 or 5 times, and you can kind of get into a flow, but still, it's always like beyond me.
All right, we got a question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're both using Cintiqs.
What's the question? What's the question?
From our new viewer, Unending Rain. They're asking
Hey,
if we're
okay.
using the high price drawing pads. Yeah, we're using the really high ones, the Cintiqs. But I started on an Intuos.
Yeah.
I worked for a long time on an Intuos until eventually I was like, I think I'm going to make the move to a Cintiq just because there's a little more. I enjoy the connection with my hand on screen. It has a more traditional feel to it, which is what I like about it. But yeah, they're pricey
I
as
mean,
hell,
totally.
man. Watch out.
Yeah, totally not required either. I mean, it's like
Not at all.
you can get the cheapo, you know, bamboo tablets. I mean, they're small, but they're usable. You can get a lot of good stuff out. That's how I started painting, and then I bought off of Tyler his large Intuos when he was getting rid of that, and then same thing happened with the Cintiq. So
Yeah, you can always find them secondhand too.
yeah,
There's such a
yeah,
huge market for them secondhand.
like I did.
Yeah, like Ray did. No, I'm glad you've gotten so much use out of that, man. It's like,
Yeah,
jeez, that's a. I think that was the first Cintiq I had bought back in, I want to say 2010.
no way, really.
Was it
This
2010?
thing's,
Yeah, I think it was
it could have
2010.
been
It's a
21
beast.
UX. This thing is, you know, who still uses one of these? Will Coiner.
The 21 UX.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know
Nice,
that.
nice.
He was like, "It's like that thing is it's like that thing will take a tank show."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, well, it's heavy as a tank.
I mean, the only thing I like about the pros now is that the pixel density is significant. Like you can barely see the pixels. It's like a Retina screen. So
Yeah,
that's like
that's
that's the selling point for me, because then I can pretend like I'm actually working on the print, which is
right.
300 DPI. I think this is like 280 or something.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's, I mean, I like working right on the screen, uh, and I do that. I really like working on specifically like also like an iPad. I do a lot of my work on that, so I might even take this and I continue to work on this in Procreate. Um,
Right. And that's
that's
another
always
option too.
that's
If you're looking for,
totally,
like, the iPad is
totally.
incredible, and it's so much versatility.
Yeah, you can really do a lot with it. It's now. I mean, there's a lot of some frustrating aspects about it, but man, it's pretty versatile.
Hmm.
It's pretty versatile for sure. Um, I just wish they. Actually, I wouldn't mind like an even larger iPad. I know they get like cumbersome, but
Yeah, I
it's
wish
getting
they'd make
too
one,
much.
like, they wouldn't even have to commit a huge run to it, but just make one that's just slightly
Just
bigger. I want to
yeah,
say, like, sweet spot's probably like 16-inch or something.
yeah.
Um,
Isn't that what that Cintiq? What was that
the
called?
companion.
The it was like a but it was after the companion. The
Oh,
you
the Mobile
didn't you buy
Studio.
one?
I had one. Yeah, Mobile
Mobile
Studio.
Studio.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the problem is it was 16-inch, but the screen wasn't 16-inch. The screen was the
Oh.
screen was like an iPad size. It was really bulky around the edges, so, and it didn't have that. I mean, I used it for a little bit, but the hardware on the inside was just not good enough. It was very slow. It was clunky. I mean,
Oh, really?
I know artists that use it all the time, and they've fine tuned it to work for them, but it just didn't work for me. Didn't work for me at
All right.
all.
But yeah, again, you don't need all that. Like,
Yeah, it's not unnecessary.
I mean, even like I like we Tyler and I talk about the iPad because the operating system it could pretty much run on anything. Like, so like the $329 iPad is perfect. It's totally fine. My dad has one, and it's like super fast and does everything you need it to do. Like, can you do 3D stuff? You can. I mean, not to the extent that some of the newer ones, the more powerful ones can, but I mean, for the price, man, it's bang for the buck. I don't think anything it comes even close. To be
Yeah,
honest with you,
it's
I
so
mean,
good. I mean, the only thing I wish it would do is, and it seems like totally has the power to do it, is to just run Photoshop. Just run Photoshop.
I
Like,
know.
that'd be great.
Well, I think freaking, I don't know. It's Photoshop for the iPad.
Huge disappointment.
God, it's really bad. It's really bad.
I was expecting something
Um,
really cool. Like I'd heard when I think Carla posted that she was working on it, helping them, like
yeah,
advising them, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be sweet. And then it came out,
yeah.
and I was like, this is nothing. This isn't even Photoshop. It's
Tyler, you couldn't even resize an image.
yeah. Maybe you can now. Maybe they fixed all that stuff, but
The fact that it's an updated feature that it didn't ship.
yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to be like needy and all that stuff, and like, but geez, don't you think that's like a no-brainer?
And I'm not a
That's like
programmer,
not.
so I don't know what the hurdles are, but it
I
seems like
don't
they
know.
could have added those. It seems like they just could have put Photoshop, all of it, onto the iPad.
Yeah, I don't. You know what? You know what? If you're in an iPad and you want to have something like Photoshop, it's not exactly like Photoshop, but it's pretty darn close and really powerful. Is Affinity Photo.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Dude, it is super capable. You can do I do a lot of my reference stuff like that, and you can export right into Photoshop, and it works totally fine.
That's cool.
Um,
I mean, I use Photoshop to
yeah,
paint, so I mean, that's why I think someone just brought it up in the
yeah,
chat. Yeah, Unending Rain. Yeah, Procreate. That's what I use on the iPad because
yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah. But there isn't like a Affinity Photo you could paint with, but it's not the brush engine is not nearly as good as Procreate. So you have to kind of use them in tandem with each other.
Oh, okay.
Um, and that's the same thing like on the iPad with Photoshop too, with the Adobe products. It's like you use Photoshop and then you use Fresco.
Right, right.
But like damn Photoshop,
I
man.
used to use
Oh my
Corel
god.
Painter, so
Dude, hell yeah. That's still around, right?
yeah, I think so. I
That's
think it's
still,
just called Painter now. It had so many cool functions. I'd use it all the time.
yeah. I mean, honestly, the thing that got me painting in Photoshop and loving it was Kyle Webster's brushes.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
those
I
are
was
great.
like, man, actually, the Jamie Jones brushes. Remember those?
Yeah, I still have one I'm using right now is a modified
Really?
Jamie Jones brush.
Hell yeah, man. I was trying to tell who I don't know who was I telling in a it could have been in a class, it might have been on Livebrush. I'm not even sure. I don't think so because we would I had mentioned you and you weren't like and I wouldn't have mentioned you in passing if we were Livebrush because
Because I'm right here,
you're right there. Or maybe
right
I
here in
would
front of
have.
you.
Yeah, I would have. That'd be cool. We should do an episode. We just mention each other in passing.
Yeah, where we only talk about each other
Yeah.
in the third person.
can
Yeah,
they? Can
Ray's
they hear?
great, man. Ray's great. He's doing cool
Tyler, not
stuff.
there. Yeah, I don't know about Tyler. It's
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
he's all right. He's all right. You know. But we were about like how like Dave Raposa. Do you remember? You know Dave Raposa's work?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So he had this stream called the Crimson Daggers,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
and I don't know if it's still on. I mean, I don't even know what. It wasn't even on Twitch. It wasn't even on YouTube. It was something. Maybe on his website or something like that. I forgot what it was like. But he watch him work and everybody draw and just practice together. And so he was talking about people were asking him what his brushes are, and so many people had asked him so many times. He was like, "These are Jamie Jones brushes." He's like, "How do you get them? How do you get them? How do you get them?" He's like, I've done it so many times. I'm just not. Just go search for it. It's you can find it on conceptart.org.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, damn, like all right, well I got to go find these things, and I did find them. And there was like David posted this post like, here everyone, here you go, here it is, and it was like from a year before, uh, and did you have them at the same time too, or did I give them to you? I don't
You
even
might have
remember
gave
how
him to
we.
me, man. I can't even remember. I just
But
all I remember is there's a lot of them, right? If anyone out there, you can probably find Jamie's brushes easy. But
yeah,
if you find them, there's a lot, and I'm going to show you right now on screen. This is the one brush that I use. Of all of those brushes, this is the one I use. And let me just pick a color and make a new layer here. This is it. It does that. It has this tiny bit of texture in it. And the one on the one in Jamie Jones's brush set is round like this, fully round like that. And all I did was I squished it down just a little bit. And I paint almost all my paintings with just this one brush. Yeah, with this
that's
one brush,
awesome. That's awesome.
and that's it. People always ask me like, "What brushes do you use?" I've heard the question too, and it's like, one. I use one brush, just one brush.
Dude, yeah, that's that's pretty much. I use an oil dry brush from Kyle Webster's. Like I bought a bunch of his brushes, but you can find them now. It comes with Photoshop now, but because Adobe hired him to work on Fresco and all this other stuff. So he and it's an oil. It's I think it's this oil painting set. I don't even know what it was. Maybe this impressionist set or something. And it's an oil dry. And it's basically it's really similar to the Jamie Jones brush. It's not as it's a different shape, but yeah, it's got like a rounded. I don't know if you could see that, like a rounded square.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember seeing
Yeah,
that brush. It's great.
yeah,
I like brushes that make like I'll paint a whole painting with this brush. Another brush I do most of my sketching with. Um, it's just a round brush, right? I'll paint whole paintings with just this round brush that's squished a little bit, which I got from Tim Avat. Who works at Pixar. And I'll just paint everything with this. When it comes to sketching, I'll just sketch everything with this brush. And then when I paint, it's that other one. So it's that doesn't need to be crazy, right? Just pick a brush and get the settings just right when it comes to
yeah.
opacity and transfer and stuff and shape dynamics, and then just use that. That's all you really need.
That's all you really need. Yeah, seriously. That's pretty much it. I mean, I remember I won my gold medal at Society of Illustrators using the painting that won that award. Used it was a digital painting. I used a free brush that I found on Photoshop in online. I don't even know what blog it was. It was like a free pencil brush.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember? Do you remember? So this is the story why brushes don't matter. It's like the artist behind it, right?
Yeah.
It's whatever you like, you know. But so you were there, and at the opening, and the former director of the society, president of the Society of Illustrators, came up to me, and had said was talking about how it's he's like, oh, you did that piece, like I really love that piece, and he was really super complimentary, and he was like, it's so good to see like original art back. It's like you got all these digital guys, they're great. The stuff is all great, but it's just I want to see something real, and it's just to see an oil painter like yourself show up. It's going off on this, and it's like it's so great. So thank you so much. And I was like, I don't know how to tell you this, but this actually was done in Photoshop, and I didn't want to tell him it was done with the free pencil brush that I found online. So,
Dude, what did he say to that though? When you were like, "This is Photoshop"?
So you were,
I think I was standing there, but I
had,
can't remember. You can probably remember.
yeah. So like he laughed, he put his hand on my shoulder. He had a glass of wine. I think he cheers with me, and he said, "You got me good." He was like, I was like, but he's like, well, he's like, yeah, I've never been fooled like that before, and I've seen a lot of art work, and I'm like, well, I was like, my background is like I'm an oil painter, and he was like, oh, okay, that makes total sense. That's the reason why it looks the way it does. I'm like, yeah.
I just hope that more power to everybody, and obviously this person is incredibly experienced in the way of illustration, but I hope that it was like a slight eye opener that even that it doesn't matter what you made it with. It matters about your mark making and your painting abilities and your style of, I don't know, it's just, I hope that was an eye opener, like, it doesn't really matter.
Well, and also like you could do digital artwork that doesn't look digital, that have the tropes of digital artwork. I think that's what he was saying. Like he was shocked that someone can do something and make it have the organicness of a traditional piece.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm sure he saw a lot of digital artwork at that time, a lot of airbrushy, like really bad, like just super perfect, mechanically smooth gradients.
100%. It's just there's so much of that too.
Right. And that was like, the onset of a lot of that stuff. And so now it's just, now people are like, oh God, no more of that. So yeah. So I think that's what he was more so speaking about. But yeah, I think nowadays it's a little bit more. It's not as like so much stuff. I mean, you don't go on freaking ArtStation. It's like,
yeah. Granted, we're coming from like a period where this is actually a big transition. Where digital. This is a time period when digital art was actually quite obvious looking. and
Right.
and that now it's like it's the center stage, right? It's how you do work is digitally, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're working in the game industry and stuff. But it was, back then it wasn't as huge. There was still a ton of concept art being done traditionally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that. That's actually a really great. That's a great point you bring up. I didn't think about that. That a lot of concept art at that time was still done. Yeah, and people were using Photoshop, but there was still a big time traditional aspect of it.
Yeah,
Like Lord of the Rings. I mean, Lord of the Rings was a few years after we had graduated. I mean, a few years after when we were in grad school. But still, it was still prevalent. I mean, a lot of that concept art was done traditionally.
yeah, and there was a ton that was digital too. But like John Howe and Alan
Yeah,
Lee, those guys are working in pencil.
right. That is true. Yeah. Jeez, I didn't even think about that. Holy crap.
Times they are changing.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff. I I love digital. It's nice to work on you could learn. It's just all about the piece. Like, let's just make it as good as possible. Who
Dude,
cares?
and where do you think this is a good line of discussion? I think. Where do you think digital's gonna go? What do you think? What could possibly
I
come next?
I think. I mean, it's anyone's guess, obviously. But if I had to guess, which I am about to, because
All
you
right,
asked that question,
all right, I'll give you permission.
um, I would say augmented reality, virtual reality.
Right, like
I think
people are
that's
gonna
where it's
make
going.
paintings
Yeah.
digitally.
Uh, You know how
This.
people look super goofy doing gravity sketch stuff? I don't
Yeah,
think that's going to be goofy in a couple of years.
right. I
I
had
think that'll be the way people make stuff.
this reminds me of I didn't get in on it because I didn't have my I kind of like it just got my VR Quest and I hadn't really jumped in to do a bunch of things. But somebody, my friend John, who's a sculptor, had invited me. He had asked a friend of his who had made a painting program called Vermilion. He'd invited me into the
Huh.
beta of it, and I just didn't get a chance to jump on it. I feel bad that I didn't get a chance to jump on it, but I think it might actually be out there for people to use. But it is a painting program for VR, and you can actually like use your stylus to mix paint on a palette and then paint that up on the canvas. Um, that's
I I
cool.
don't see
That is cool stuff.
I don't see why I wouldn't go that direction. If it's as long as it's convenient. I think the convenience is always gonna it's always gonna win at the end. That's the
Yeah,
reason why oil paint was even used in the first place,
right. Because of the
because it was
convenience
way
and
more, yeah, better than freaking fresco paintings
they had tempera at the time, didn't they?
and tempera. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, Egyptians used tempera, but like people like got off that really quickly because it's just like, well, tempera's alright, but like you can't do a lot of stuff with it, and it's like, look at all this cool stuff we could do with oil paintings.
yeah. I mean, just the ability to correct, right? It's like, hey, you can now correct. Let this
Right?
dry for a bit. You can correct. And that's a huge deal.
Instead of destroying everything, So there's it's all relative. Who's I talking to? Was I was talking. Yeah, I was. We were talking about that in at Livebrush, right? Where I was said Michelangelo hated oil painting. He was like, nah, it's, whatever. And
Yeah,
because you could correct,
right,
you know,
right. There's always
it's
somebody,
like that's
man.
not real. It's not real painting.
Yeah, there's every
So
generation. There's somebody.
dude, every generation. So people are gonna look at those people using gravity sketch Vermilion, but it's like, yeah, it's not real painting. They'll be there. They'll be there.
Yeah,
And hey, whatever. Regardless of whether or not they want to, it, yeah, the industry will move on.
yeah.
With or without them.
Well, and that's the beauty
And
of it, right? It's there's like the naysayers
right,
or the people looking down on it, but it's also like, but then there's people trying to make movies and video games, and they're like, we got to get it done. So that there can
right,
be some purist out there that's like, I can't believe you're painting digitally, and it's like, yeah, but we had to make the Lord of the Rings, so we use digital tools to do it.
right, Right. Excuse me. Yeah. Well, and let them have that bias, because now why wouldn't you know? Like it's dumb to, unless it's like for posterity's sake, to make. Nobody would ever like greenlight like, I want to do oil paints for my concepts. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, come on, we gotta do 50 iterations on something, on a costume.
Well, it reminds me of Jurassic Park when Phil Tippett wanted to do all the effects with stop motion, and they
Mm-hmm.
decided to not do it, and how betrayed he felt. But it's like, yeah, but then they made the movie, like one of the most groundbreaking digital effects movies of all time. So
Yeah,
so I mean, I know Phil was like, felt betrayed, but it's like, yeah, but they had to get the job done, and what you were proposing wasn't going to get the job done.
yeah. That's it, right? It's like stop motion was used to get the job done
Yeah.
originally.
Well, they used it in that respect to make like all the mock-up scenes, the motion motion what do they call them? Anyways, to mock up the sequences, they use stop motion,
Right.
and that's great. It worked out because they could correct a little easier, and they could rough it in. But yeah, and stop motion was the way to do it before then. But those eras have to end. And I know that Tippett was
Previs.
like,
Oh my
"Well, you
god.
put me out of a job with this." And it's like, yeah, well, you know, you still have a job these days.
Dude, it's, I get it. I get it. It's never been about the medium. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's not.
It's never been like Willis O'Brien created the art, like pioneered that stuff so that he could shoot in the basement and you didn't have to like, so he can do things that were literally impossible to photograph when he
Yeah.
did King Kong.
Right. Right. Right.
Like it's not, it's just not about the medium is beautiful, but it's all about its use.
And if it was only ever about the medium, we'd still be making silent movies at like
Right.
16 frames a second or whatever not even that. Yeah, it was low frame rate. So,
Mm-hmm.
it'd still be we'd do silent movies at super low frame rates, and that would still be the industry. But the industry's got to move forward, and stories got to be told.
Yeah. And that's just, you have to be constantly evolving. I mean, that's the thing I think about, like with illustration, and even I don't understand why gallery painting, it's gallery painting too has that in respect, and like in like in terms of working methods. I think it's people are embracing more and more digital tools, because it's kind of like, why wouldn't you do that?
Mm-hmm.
But they're a little bit more like, the end product's got to be a painting of something physical. Um,
Yeah, but if you use
whereas it's
digital
not.
all the way to get there, what does it matter, right?
Right, right. But it's also different. Like this is where, like, NFTs and all that stuff comes into play. It's like, well, what's the physical aspect of owning something? Physical is the one of a kindness of a painting is the reason why people buy them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They're
So
singular,
that's
right?
right. They're singular. That's why they're valued more than a print
Right, 100%.
of it. But how you get there, that's like the. Um, I think that's super exciting. Like, digital is like going to help you. Like this stuff. Like this is going to be an oil painting, but like, if I can figure out stuff and make all these mistakes and iterate and do everything here, I'm gonna look like a genius in oil paint. I'll be like, wow, look at Ray go. It's like he knew where to put something exactly in the right place.
Right, right.
And it's like, that's because I rehearsed it a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's sort of like
That's
that.
digital
The
go.
rehearse is such a great way to put it because it's like it'd be like going to a play and being like, I can't believe they just got out there and they said everything, and everyone was perfectly well spoken, and then they sang all these songs, and there were musicians there playing. It was incredible. I don't know how they just did that on the fly. And it's like, well, they didn't. They rehearsed it. They did all their planning. They
It
worked everything
was
out.
such a great analogy. Oh my god, that might change everything for me. Yeah.
But it's like it's to think like, oh, that it's I don't know, man. I think it's that Jackson Pollock stuff. I was gonna say crap, but maybe there's people in the chat who like Jackson Pollock, but it's that idea that like
Yeah.
if you're a fine artist, it has to be completely spontaneous and it just has to flow out of you like a river, and then it'll be
Yeah.
brilliant in that respect. And how dare you like actually plan ahead and make thoughtful paintings?
Well, I think also I wouldn't blame people like I think that was happening well before that during Sargent's time
100%.
and
Yeah, I was just
you
picking
know
an
with
example. I
yeah
guess
yeah I know we just like yelling at things too. So
I love it. I
I
love it.
mean you mix Scottish people up with English people, you don't care.
Yeah, they're all this. No, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into the great struggle
Oh,
of
you
the
take the bait.
Scottish.
You take the bait. You take the bait. But yeah, so I yeah, I mean, full disclosure, you're allowed to like. Tyler's allowed to like and dislike wherever anyone's ever is allowed to like it, dislike whatever the hell they want to like it, dislike. So I'm not into like, oh, you're wrong.
Yeah, and me
It's
either.
like
No, I
if you
hate
don't
that.
like it, who cares? Like, what does it it doesn't affect me. Doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect me. You know. So like I like Pollock. I like William de Kooning. Like, uh, but
Oh, don't
yeah,
get me
still.
don't get me wrong. Like I wasn't saying like, oh, I hate Jackson Pollock. It was about this
No, no,
philosophy. I
no,
think
no.
that's associated with
Yeah,
his
but there
like
are
a
people. But it's
style.
okay to be like, I think he sucks. It's okay.
I mean, I
It's
do, but I didn't have to. I didn't want to get into that.
yeah. I mean, like you could just acknowledge what impact he had on the art world, and then be like, it's not for me, but whatever. Like who cares? And not everyone's got to like everything. So like, you know, uh, but that being said, I think the whole like, oh, that took like 3 brushstrokes, that type of stuff. That started. I think a lot of that started happening to around the time of Sargent, and the Impressionist, and people started to realize like, hey, the canvas is something. It's not a window. It's a flat thing, and maybe we should make the brushstroke more a part of that. Like that's a mark, and that means something. And then it's like, okay, well then, if it means something, what's the purest form of that? And then it's like, okay, well, you got to do it unedited. Okay, well, it's like to capture the days of the days that we live in. Like we have to have tools and methods that are enigmatic or represent the times that we live in. Hello,
Right.
like
Right.
digital artwork, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's us right there. And so it was people were going outside. There was all these like scientific, uh, the prism of light was freaking, discovered. The paint tube was discovered. So people were going outside doing the thing and being like, hey, this is kind of fun. Outdoor painting started to become possible on a serious level, and people were were experimenting with that, and like
That's something a lot of
so
people
you
don't
had
think about is the fact that like the style in which Van Gogh painted and why he was so famous for it is because you could get giant tubes of oil paint, which
yeah
is relatively new. You couldn't get that stuff before his time. It was a lot harder. You had to mix
no
it. You had to
yeah
make it. And he was
yeah
he was in an era where it's like, yeah, I'm going to paint super thick because I have the ability to get oil paint at this quantity and this quality.
and at that point, like the world had opened up a lot more. Again, you could like whoever the hell you want. We're just explaining why. It's like contextualizing it. It's like because you can't like say, well, Star Wars episode, well, that's more of a technological thing. But like, you know, there was all this experimentation going on. Yeah, and so he was an avid outdoor painter, but he was also like influenced by Japanese woodcut prints, and then also just painting the everyday. And at that point, that was like a new thing. I mean, people, because people were from the country. This is the first time a lot of people that came from the country and got sponsorship to go to study actual art, and then they wanted to go back to their homes and paint what they know, and so that changes all this stuff, and so different methods, and I don't even know what I'm getting. Well, how the hell did we talk about this?
I don't know. I've already lost the
Oh,
thread as
with
well.
the three brushstrokes thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Or like the
you
fine art's got to be really spontaneous. That
it's
kind of
got to be
thing.
spontaneous, right? It can't be
Yeah.
predetermined. It can't be.
Like how
And it's
dare you
just
plan
again,
or get reference, or how dare you do any of that stuff?
right, right, because it comes from like, you know, how do we differentiate ourselves from what came before us? Like we have to. That was a big thing. Like we want to create a new art. That was abstract expressionism. Like to hell with Europe and everything else. Like we don't need to follow what they're doing. We could do our own thing, which
Yeah.
is super punk rock. But it's the ironic part about it is that like, yeah, my Photoshop is acting up too. Hold on one second here. Why is this now?
We got such high end computers. What's happening? Oh boy.
Photoshop.
Hold on.
There we go.
Technical difficulties.
I know.
Hold on. And with 15 minutes to go on this stream, I need to throw up the be right back really quick.
Okay.
Because I drank way too much water. So I will be right back. I'm going to transition out to the be right back, and then we'll be back in like literally a minute. Okay. Transitioning now. Bye-bye. Back.
And that is the secret of painting.
That's it. Just those two things?
Yeah, and when you think about it, it could be three or it could be one.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's mostly one.
Yeah, we caught that, right?
I think I hit the button. I can't remember when I hit the button. Anyways,
I'm sure people know it anyway.
Yeah. We don't have to go over it. We can just move on.
So what I was, I get my main point was, the whole like, yeah, it's got to be, it's got to feel like it's easy. It doesn't take any effort, and the artist just breathes that. I blame artists just as much as anyone else, for that. It's because like it's way more enticing to think that someone's a genius than it is and that's been an issue since the Renaissance. I mean, around goes back even places like the Renaissance. Why the hell was Michelangelo burning all of his sketches?
Right, because I mean, it was the
What?
trade for them, though, right? Like we're talking about a really guarded tool because they were tradesmen. You don't want other
Right,
people
but
doing the thing you can do.
right, and also, but people. I mean, the whole thing was like he burnt them because you know the whole story, right? Where like his assistant came, like was walking down the hallway and saw smoke coming out of one of the studios, ran in and
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
him
I'd heard about
take it,
this.
right?
Yeah,
So and he said, for those of you who don't know, like the assistant came in, he's like, "What are you doing? You're burning all these drawings." And Michelangelo said, like, "Well, if anyone knew how hard I worked, they wouldn't think I was a genius." And it's a tall tale, like for us. Like we heard that in art school a lot. But I went to a Michelangelo show at the Met, and there on a placard was an actual like thing about it. And this is apparently it happened multiple times. And like the reason why most of these sketches even exist are because his assistants took them.
right. So he wouldn't. Yeah, that makes sense, though. I mean,
Yeah,
and I think it's yeah. I agree with you. It's partly the artists trying to maintain the mystique, and I think it's also partly the art historians. The really
yeah,
obnoxious art historians that like think that Caravaggio was living in some amazing dream world where he just dreamed up amazing paintings and they just flew out. And it's like, well, or he was
yeah,
like a crazy murderous sword fighter and worked as a tradesman painting for clients like the church and hired models and used camera lucia. It's like this
yeah,
this fantasy of the like tortured brilliant artist.
yeah. Deifying them. Yeah, they're turning them into something that they're. Yeah, well, it sells the tickets, man. Okay, we should maybe take a page from that. That's what I should do. What I should have done is had this finished painting and then had it on a mask, that you couldn't see, and just basically painted out the finished painting or painted on it, so it was like I was finishing it as I was going.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, totally.
That's what I should have done.
We get first time chat, Salvador second. So yeah, to what you both said earlier about thick paint and Van Gogh, as I understand it, oil paint in tubes allowed for plein air painting. Yeah, which helped the Impressionism, as opposed to the Gilded Age, where they had to paint, or they had to find pigments and mix them. Yeah, totally. I mean, they had to back then. They had to make their own. Like if you go to Amsterdam and you go to Rembrandt's studio, there's a station in there where he had to grind his pigments. He had to make those, or
Yeah,
assistants had to make
yeah,
them. So
yeah,
that the advent of in the Industrial Revolution and making pigments at mass scale in tubes totally changed the way we see art and how art was created.
yeah. And you still, I mean, back in the day, you still would have to go to somebody who was a specialist in that, but they sold the tubes, though.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
But yeah, it was like, I mean, you take that out, you know, and then instead of paint tubes, they were using pig's bladders before paint tubes because pig's bladders kept the paint wet. And so, but the problem was if you're hiking up in this, the mountains in, I don't know, Tuscany or something. I don't know, I don't know
I like
European
that. That's
geography.
good. Tuscany's good.
Okay, all right. That stuff would just, rattling around on a horse, stuff would blow, just pop and get all over the place all the time. So, yeah. But yeah, Monkey House, yeah, it's easy for non-artists to mythologize something they cannot do themselves. Totally. We do that with athletes. We do that with anyone,
I do it with musicians
Totally
all the
agree.
time. Like I'm like, oh, they're genius. They're genius. And then
How does it with me?
I do it with Ray constantly, constantly. Like when he told us the secret of painting a minute ago, I was like, dude, I didn't even think of it that way. But
I do with Star Trek 5 and Star Trek 1 all the time.
oh, let's not. Well, let's. We should. When I was talking about the remake thing, I probably should do a. There's a way to
Oh,
do Star Trek in there, I think.
no way. No
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
There is.
think?
I mean, I don't know. I think it would be cool to compare. I think you'd have to do it as like a chunk. Like you watch a bunch of the original series episodes, and then you watch the J.J. Abrams 2008 Star Trek.
Okay. I like that. Oh, well, Wrath of Khan, Wrath of Khan. Yeah. I didn't even think
Oh
about that.
God, no. I mean, I would. I just.
Tyler, you're doing Total Recall,
That's
Total
true.
Recall. I just don't
That's true. That's
understand
true.
why we're.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. I
Where's
don't know
the.
why I would. I don't know why I'm like, I don't want to do that because I sat through Total Recall, calling somebody's Total Recall. I couldn't even remember who was in it when we were watching it. I was like, oh yeah, they're in it. Okay.
I love
I
it.
think we went over this in one of the episodes. Like you can't remake Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. It's like it just doesn't work. You can't do it.
No.
But that
It's
does
bad.
remind me,
It's a bad
Conan. I
idea.
gotta watch Conan the Barbarian and then the Jason Momoa Conan.
Just going to say that. I was
Yeah.
just going to say that. You probably want to add that on if you're going to do that. So. Oh.
Sorry, Momoa, but that movie's bad.
Oh, no, man. That's a movie sucked. You got to have the. Okay. Again, that movie had no business being as good as it was. So.
Conan. Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Conan, yeah, yeah. I'm not saying anything that people don't already know, but like John Milius didn't exactly turn out to be like Steven Spielberg, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like Michael Mann, or like So, hey, he was, it's just he made a hell of a movie.
Mm-hmm. Hard to
But,
beat.
hard to beat. Hard to beat. Sometimes it works out, and you had the right people around it, and you killed it, in a good way.
Yeah, yeah. You didn't kill it in a bad way. You didn't kill the franchise.
Didn't kill it in a bad way.
If they
No.
killed the franchise, it was with Red Sonja or something. I don't know. Which isn't
The second
even
one
part of the
wasn't.
franchise.
Oh yeah, Red Sonja. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
But it's not. He's not Conan in it. He's something else.
Really?
Yeah, I think I haven't even. I don't. I've never seen Red Sonja. I can't even. But from what I heard, he's not Conan. He's like somebody else, some other weird random character. Maybe the chat knows. I don't. I'm pretty sure he's not Conan.
They should try and remake Hercules in America.
Yes. Yeah. Hell yeah, they should. And that other
It'll
western that he was
fail
in
because it's
before
an
that.
Arnold Schwarzenegger
Yeah, it'll fail.
movie,
It won't be
but
good.
it won't be good. But they should try. You know what I would love? And this total schlock. Okay.
All right.
I would be interested in somebody even attempting. I'll give them kudos to attempt a remake of Tango and Cash.
Oh my
There, I
god.
said
But
it.
who would you cast? Come on. Kurt Russell
Oh
movie?
man,
That should be illegal to remake a Kurt Russell movie. But go ahead. Who would you cast?
I don't know. This is the thing, because I don't think the action movie stars aren't. It's not the same archetypes as they were in the '90s, right?
Yeah, but it's like I mean, I think the best way to think about this is not to be like who's going to be the exact Kurt Russell, and it's about the dynamic,
Okay.
right? It's like how do we get the same dynamic? How do we get the same types of characters? They don't have to be those guys.
I was thinking at least one of them has to be Ryan Reynolds. I don't know why.
I agree. One of them has to be Ryan Reynolds. Probably Kurt Russell's character.
All right, do you think Ryan Reynolds and The Rock? Boy,
Dude, that's good. That's good because there's the dynamic. I think you're right. I think you nailed it. That's probably it because Stallone is like the really serious character in that
right.
movie.
That's
And like
right.
the Martin Reese, to reference another cop movie, the Martin Reese character is Kurt Russell's character. So yeah, you'd want like the jokey schlocky guy and the big serious guy, and the Rock and Ryan Reynolds would be a good combo.
But you could have, but you need a joking guy with good like decent comedic timing, and then The Rock has it. That's why I was thinking
Yeah,
The Rock too, because Stallone he could be funny. Yeah, he's very like he could be in a witty way. He
yeah.
understands that timing.
Oh yeah, I agree. Monkey House. Yeah, we got cop dramas, cop action movies. Yeah, probably shouldn't be making those right now. Let's just we're just waxing about this.
The
But
Tango and
yeah,
Cash wasn't a cop drama though.
that's true. That's true.
Okay,
Yeah, it was
they
like
just happened to be
they
police
just happened
officers.
to
That's
be
it.
cops. They're
Yeah,
breaking the law anyways. Most of the movie, they're
set in the
breaking the law.
future. Who cares? Yeah, they were definitely breaking the law. I'm just saying. I want a remake.
I think they could be done. I mean, this is sort of like the same kind of talk as not that it's the same kind of movie, but the this whole like Highlander remake that they've been toying with.
They're gonna remake Highlander.
I don't think they should because Highlander's high on my list of awesome, and I don't want to see that. But if you're gonna do it,
They should remake Highlander too. No, you can't. Remake the original one, not the second one. The second one's way better.
yeah, nice try. I'm not falling in for that. No way. Um, hey, dude, that jar's looking good in that painting. Damn,
Oh, thanks, dude.
it's nice.
Now, if I could only do this traditionally, right? It might take me some time, but
But I like the idea. I mean, in your work of the majority of the painting being pretty loose, and then having that really tight like focal point. That's great.
yeah, I'm gonna refine it so that I can just then zoom in and then just copy the strokes. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we will. I guess we'll have to find out. Will I continue on this? Actually, I'm really enjoying this process, and was kind of. I don't know if I would have ever set aside time to do this. I probably would have tried to finish the painting off, and it would have been okay. But I think this is going to be a way better painting because of this. So I'm going to continue working on this, maybe for one more episode. And
Nice.
yeah, why not, right?
I might call it on this.
But
I think
that's
we are at time, so it's a good for us to like
yep,
start wrapping up on these. I think, yeah, you're working
yeah.
on that again. I will probably call this. I think I'm just gonna call it.
Whoa,
I might do
nice,
some. I
man.
might do some little stuff to just tighten up one or two little areas, but it's pretty much
Yeah,
there for me. I kind of changed his
okay,
hair last minute, but otherwise, I think it's there. I
that's
think I'm
awesome.
done with it. I mean, I don't know if the colors are working. I might give it a little bit of time to sit, and then I can go over the colors, maybe make
Okay,
some tweaks. But I did some major tweaks today, anyways. So
awesome, dude.
yeah, I
Awesome.
think we're good. And next week, well, I think we're gonna come in next week, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah, I'll be
yeah,
gone
yeah.
for a couple weeks after that, but next week I think I'm good to go.
Awesome, awesome. Well, great, man. Where can they find your work? And who are
Um,
you?
I have been and always will be Tyler Jacobson, and you can find me at tylerjacobsonart.com, as well as at Tyler Jacobson Art on Instagram, which is where I do most of my posting. And who have you been?
Well, I am sometimes, but currently, Ray Bonilla. You can find my work at raymondbonilla.com and Ray Bonilla Painter on Instagram. Um, yeah, thank you so much for everyone in the chat for joining us as always. We really appreciate just the great community and talking back and forth. It's so awesome to see the chat scroll with conversations. So it's really
Absolutely.
great. Yeah, and thank you so much for people that have subscribed to our stream. We really appreciate that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching it on demand. If you could leave a like and hit subscribe if you like what you see. But if you don't like Tyler's you could thumbs down it if you dislike it, if you don't like Tyler's uh, technical issues and also impressions of Northern Europeans and or movie taste. Who knows?
Yeah, there's a
But leave a
lot.
like for me because I know you like me. And if you, if you want to figure out or keep track of when our episodes are, when we don't have episodes, consider also following us on Instagram at Live Brush. Just one word. And yeah, we usually have artwork also that we'll post up, and just a bunch of artwork that we like also promoting on our stories. Just gives everyone a nice link, just access to all these different types of artists. So yeah, everyone. So thank you so much, and I think that's it. So we're looking forward to seeing everyone next week. Happy painting, and yeah, we'll see you in 7 days.
See you then, everybody. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.